Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to Of Heroes and Men. Today, I want to talk about rejection. Um, this is something I'm very, I'm very familiar with. I have been rejected, God, thousands of times at this point. And this isn't dating rejection, but this applies to anything really. Uh, I've been on probably hundreds of audition at this point, maybe 1,000 or something, and I've made I've booked maybe 1% of those jobs, um, and it wasn't and I have no idea why I was or wasn't chosen, why they chose to go in another direction, and it really doesn't matter. When I first started auditioning, so the way that it works usually is if you're not represented, there are websites that you go and you submit yourself to, be in a play or a movie or a TV show or whatever it is, new media. Then somebody reaches back out and then they schedule you for an audition. They probably send you sides or a monologue if you have one prepared, and then you go and you present to them. And usually it's anywhere between 1.5 to 4 minutes. You're in the room, and then you leave. Um, or if you have an agent or something or a manager, the manager usually submits you for something, for some sort of a project through the casting director. The casting director says, okay, we want to call them in. And then they send you the sides and you prepare, and then you go in and it's the same thing, 30 minutes, 30 seconds to 2 minutes of work. And then they send you on their way. And you never get any feedback. You have no idea why they chose you or didn't choose you, or how you did in the room. They just don't tell you anything, and it can be a maddening experience, right? Because that's how we get better. We get feedback from the environment traditionally, but in that sort of setting, that's not really what happens. In that setting, you just you just do your thing and then you hope for the best. The reason this is important is because when I first started as an actor, it was very, very difficult for me to separate myself from the work, myself from the experience, myself from what was actually happening. And it was hard for me not to take it personally when I didn't get cast for something, or when I got passed over for something, or where I got what was called a pin, is where, let's say you audition for a television show, and they said, oh, we really like him, and they said, can you actually hold, Monday the 25th to Friday the 4th, right? Because we want to see, we may shoot it within that window, and basically you can't take another job during that time frame because they want to potentially call you in and you want to be ready for that. But they also haven't cast you in anything. So you're kind of just like waiting around. It can be a little maddening. And there have been a couple experiences where they cast me, and then like the day before, I haven't taken any work, haven't auditioned for anything, haven't done anything. And then the day before, they're like, by the way, we're not going to go with you. Because usually it's because it's between you and somebody else. Usually someone who outranks you in the industry is more experienced or whatever, and they're trying to find out if they're available to do it. Basically, that's what it means. Because if you were the number one choice, they would cast you immediately. Anyway, what I had to learn from that was how to detach myself from the experience of the work and being judged for these casting directors, and also the waiting period. That shit took me about 10 years to do. And ultimately, I think ultimately it led to me getting soured with the industry for sure. And that's when I knew that I had to do something different, because it was affecting my ability to do the work. I couldn't do it because I really started to take things personally. So the one thing that helped me to realize is, one, I think when I started producing things is really when I had this epiphany, because I was on the other side now. I was casting people. I was putting them on hold. And I realized that I did or didn't cast people, not because of them necessarily. I mean, some people just were garbage. They weren't very good. And I'm like, I'm not putting them in my project, whatever. But other times it was like maybe they didn't fit well with the lead actor or actress, or they were too similar to somebody else, and so I didn't cast them. Or just they weren't the right fit in terms of temperament. Um, I learned to realize that these people are not my adversaries, right? The casting directors, the agents, the managers. These people are simply people trying to pay their rent, man. Um, and that's really the way the world works. And somebody had to tell me this, and I think it was John Sonmez who told me this. And he was basically like, "Look, man, people are doing the best they can. Like they're not out to get you. They're just going through the world with their programming." And that was a hard pill to swallow when I came to that realization, because I was convinced that everybody was out to get me. I was fucking convinced. I was convinced that like I was this hero in this story, and everybody's trying to get at me. Everybody's trying to come for me. Everybody's trying to undermine me. Everybody's trying to undercut me or whatever. And it's just not true. It's bullshit. It's just a story I was telling myself. And I know a lot of people run into that. I would say that most people run into that because of how quickly people get offended. People get worked up by things that are really inconsequential. And another thing is too that I had attached my sense of self, my value as a human being, to whether or not I got a gig, whether or not I got a job. I attached my value not only as a human being, but also the emotional investment I had made in attaining a level of competence in my craft. Because I had spent a long time training myself and going to drama school twice and doing all these things and being part of groups and auditioning and really honing it. And I took it personally and I thought that they were really, like, they didn't appreciate the effort that I had made. The fact of the matter is it didn't have anything to do with me. And I'm saying this because most of what happens in life has absolutely nothing to do with you. I mean, nothing. Like, really, people are just going through it. And that's not just when you're pursuing something, when you're out there trying to cold call a client, when you're trying to ask a girl out or whatever, when you're dealing with family members. These people are simply going on their programming, and oftentimes their programming was solidified or crystallized at a time when they were maybe emotionally immature. Like, they weren't mature enough to actually navigate the world properly, and they made certain decisions at certain points in their lives and then didn't change it. And there are people that walk around and they're like 60-year-old children, for real. And if you're watching this, if you're the sort of person that wants to grow, that wants to heal from your past wounds, that wants to get better each and every day, which I would imagine most of the guys that are watching this are, I would say is that, first of all, you're in the right place. You're doing the right thing because you're seeking the truth. You're seeking people that have gone through certain things and other experiences and have fucked up a lot and are always trying to get better. And I don't have all the answers. I definitely don't. Part of me doing this channel is so I can get the answers, is to find out what's actually true and what isn't. Because I'm realizing that what's going on up here is probably not accurate. And some guys are going to be like, yeah, well, I always figure it out. I always have it figured out. Like, I know everything and I'm always right. Maybe. And the results may bear that out. But I'm not, because the level of the understanding that I had leading up to this point has led me to this point, and this is a point that I want to make better. And I can't go through life with the same programming or the same thought patterns that got me to this level if I want to get to the next level. So that's just what I'm saying. Basically, is people, rejection is just, it's what it is. It isn't personal. And these people feel just as rejected as you. And if you are feeling rejected, it probably means that you're putting yourself out there. And that means you're doing the right thing. If you're being rejected, you're doing the right thing. That means that, like, you're pushing the envelope, you're pushing your comfort zone, and you just got to keep going because, you're going to get stronger as a result. I'm crazy strong when it comes to rejection now because I've been rejected hundreds of times, because I didn't have any sort of roadmap or guidance or feedback in terms of when I was auditioning or doing the thing. But I am proud of myself that I stuck with it, and that I continue to persevere. And you should be too. Whatever you're going through, whatever's happening with you, just understand that you just got to keep going. You'll get through it, and it's going to work out fine. All right. Thank you for following. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. I appreciate you guys, and we're in this together. Peace.